Welcome to the 25 Days of Orville. Today is day 14, the 14th of December, and we're highlighting episodes from season 1. Here we go. So, like many people, when the Orville came on, uh, all the commercials and all the stuff leading up to Orville, we really didn't know what quite to think. We knew it looked like Star Trek. We knew it looked kind of like a next generation ish kind of show. We didn't know what it was going to be, and it came on, and the one thing that I think that kind of took me by surprise was the overload of the humor and comedy in it. I mean, it's a Seth MacFarlane show, so we figured there was going to be some in that. So you know getting through that, maybe I was a little shocked by it. I mean, I know Mrs. Tech Show was like, I'm not watching any more of this because I just can't believe he's the captain. But I'm like, okay, it's all right. We'll get through it. I can watch it on my own. You watch your shows on your own. I can watch my shows on my own. So that's not any good marriage. You each do your own, watch your own shows that you each watch, and then there's shows that you watch together. So you just, little relationship advice. There we go. Okay, so the first episode that we're going to look at is If the Stars Should Appear. Now this, of course, they're flying around. They just end up, finding this ship out in space, and they head over there and dock and go and look and see what's inside. And it's this big, huge, expansive green area, little greenhouse kind of dome and everything. And they do a little, reconnoiter, kind of finding what's going on out there. And the thing that really took me, from this episode, it was an early episode, so this is episode 4, right? Was that right from the start, you could have taken the Next Generation characters and swapped them in. So it was extremely familiar, and to have an episode that's like that kind of says, this is some of what we're going to be doing, and it's going to be extremely familiar to you, and you're going to, just quickly grab onto it, right? I mean, that was, I think, part of this episode for me was just, oh, we're going to go, and it's the whole thing. The Enterprise, or the Orville in this case, is out searching, wandering through space. It runs into something. The original series had where the world is hollow and I have touched the sky. And this is almost the same episode, right? So ship Yonada, in Star Trek's case, was on a big ship going through space, and they're going to run into a planet and destroy a bunch of people that they don't even know. This is kind of the same thing. They were going to run into a sun, and because they were off course, everything else. So they get in there, and turmoil ensues after they get there. People get shot, people get beaten up, all kinds of stuff. They got to play to some humor and stuff to try and get in the building, different things. But it really set a tone for, I think, that in this show, there's going to be, it looks like, Next Generation kind of stuff, but in this show, there's going to be episodes that are going to be really familiar to you. The themes are going to be really familiar, and some of the stories are just going to be really familiar. And I really like that. That kind of reassured me, and we got Liam Neeson here, doing a little guest appearance, kind of telling us, yeah, we're going to have big stars that are going to come and be on the show. So it was good. I mean, that was really assuring me that the rest of the show was going to be really good. Okay, so the next episode we're going to look at is Krill. And this really, we get heavily introduced, to the Krill. And, they get this shuttle, and then they go and they, board and get them on board the Krill ship. And gets us some insight into, what Krill is. The Krill are really, I wouldn't say they're directly a ripoff of Klingons, maybe more, a little bit Klingon Jem'Hadar kind of thing if you're taking it from Star Trek, but that they really have a deep-seated I mean, and a little kind of, I guess, Bajoran, because the Bajorans were very deep seated in their, you know, religiosity that they were portraying. But just there's so much, there's a lot of comedy here inside this, but in the end, after they get down to finding, oh, they're going to launch a rocket and kill a bunch of people, they have to make the decision, right? The hard decision to stop them somehow. And in doing so, they put our values, right? They put Ed puts his values onto the Krill, that he would save the children. So the rocket's going, and they have the little thing where it's going to put out all the light, and everybody's going to be, basically cooked by the ultraviolet light and stuff. And they save the kids. The kids are safe, and everybody else gets fried up. And then, in the end, would it have been better to just get rid of them all in order to save, the hundreds of thousands of people that were down on the colony? Because then you wouldn't have had the backslash. It would have just been a ship destroyed in space. And that's probably what the Krill would have done. If they would have gone the same thing and hidden, gotten disguised and hidden on our ship, they would have applied their values to what they were doing. And if they found out that, for whatever, the Orville was going to do some destructive thing, then they would have destroyed everyone on the Orville and not saved any of the children or anything. It would have been different, So it kind of says something about society when we go somewhere, we take our values and place them and expect other people to adhere to our values and react and do things based on our values. So I thought it was really good. I mean, the end, the decisions and him having to have this conversation, and sometimes, and a lot of times, well, every time in war, really, there's no winner, right? That's the problem with war. People get hurt and die on both sides, right? It would be better to come together and discuss things and come to agreements about things. But in this case, the Krill were being aggressive, and they stopped him, and the consequences later in another episode where she comes back, and I think that's season 2 episode where she comes back and takes him away, kidnaps him and stuff. So anyway, okay, so next episode is one of my very favorites, which is Majority Rule. This episode, other than being kind of a classic Star Trek type episode, run into a planet that has similar things. We're going to go down and see, what's normal, what's different. This speaks to our social media cancel culture that we're in right now, like over the top. I mean, right? I mean, everybody's wandering around. Everybody has to have these little badges, right? You got up and down. You're going to like or dislike something, everything that comes across. And that's how the laws are formed. There's no sense of it. There's no, a mob that just, a mob can go and overtake something. Like somebody doesn't like that, you get a bunch of people together and you can go and basically destroy someone's life, even if it's not that many people, right? You can just go and ruin something because of something they didn't even understand that they were doing, something that they didn't notice, like the one guy, guys that were there, that they were the scientists they were looking for. There was a pregnant lady behind them who just didn't sit down. They didn't move over, so they could let her sit down. And if I'm looking this way, I'm not always going to look around and see, what's around me. And they didn't do that. And so, they get punished. And the whole, society was built around this system. And there was only, basically, if you got up to a certain point, there was only one punishment, which was to basically fry your brain and turn you into a vegetable. Well, without clear set laws and punishment for those laws based on defined criminal activity, it something like this can just break down into chaos, and that's what we see really in our society today. Is someone says something and maybe it's taken wrong, taken out of context, and then boom, a group of people come and just lambast them, and then they got to retract, and they got to, of course, you should never apologize. If you have something that you stand for and that you believe in, and someone comes after you, don't apologize, because then they know you're weak, and they're just going to come after you more, right? Where here, it's like, oh, we're going to put them up into a parade, we're going to send them around, we're going to let more people see, how horrible they are, and it just doesn't. And that's kind of what happens really today. People will make videos about things that people have done and just completely lambast them. I mean, I'm more than happy to give people a second, third, and fourth chance if they have good intentions about something that they're doing. And somewhere 10 years ago they said something that might not be appropriate for today. Whatever, that was 10 years ago. I don't really care. I'm not into digging up your past and doing that. I want to know who you are today. Right. So they finally get, and he gets past it, and they find a way to, get him just under the whatever million or 100,000, whatever it is, little clicks that they need to, or is it 10 million, I think, something like that, to keep him from getting fried. And then they get out of there and they head off. But still, there's things like, how many times, we see this where people are like, is this going to be, we're already videotaped, and recorded pretty much everywhere we go, and that can be used as surveillance against you. But here, just people not liking something suddenly makes it illegal. Well, if that were today, in our laws today, then I think everybody would be in that, because there's always somebody who's not going to like what you're doing, and that big enough group can, overtake anything. Once you get something started on social media, you could basically destroy someone's life, and that's what happens today in our society, and what's happening here in their society. I think is a definite commentary on what's going on in today's society. Really good, taking that, and it wasn't done in an identity politic kind of way. It was just done in, this is what happens. This is how the society is, and see how broken it is, right? So, well, those are some of my favorites from season 1 highlighted there. Tomorrow we'll be going over season 2, some episodes, and then tomorrow's not going to include identity, because the next day will be, on the 16th, will be just a whole video about identity, because that is just an amazing story arc, and everything that comes together and stuff in that is just very awesome. So, all right. Well, here we go. That's day 14. We're well past the halfway point, and we'll be getting to Christmas before you know it. All right. Well, thanks for watching this one. Take care.